Good evening. Welcome to the Siddha-Vetha webinar series. Today our topic will be on design thinking. Based on an ancient wisdom of India, design thinking is a new concept used by modern universities. Today's speaker will be Sathya, known for the voice of divine love, is identified as a spiritual oriented powerful youth to transform world personally by Nobel Peace Laureate His Holiness 14th Dalai Lama and Sri Ramakrishna Mat for inspiring humanity. Inspired by ancient Indian wisdom, after intense study of sacred scriptures and literatures, he now travels extensively throughout the world, imparting knowledge through powerful discourses. He is hailed as inspired follower of Swami Vivekananda, a great patriotic saint of India. Seekers who have ever experienced the voice of divine love will vouch that his discourses aren't mere transference of words, but transference of energy. Sathya is internationally renowned and highly sought after speaker who is revolutionizing the humanity and business world with his practical and simple systematic approach to balancing work-life balance. His talks offer attendees an understanding of how the mind works so they can create sustainable changes in their personal and professional lives. Sympathy has evolved through various stages: rebellious youth, patriotic debater, inquisitive seeker, and culminated as the venerated voice of divine love. His vision is to bring ancient Indian wisdom to masses in transforming world with harmony and peace for human excellence. His mission is to transform individuals to transform world. Sathya is also highly accomplished government management and leadership consultant. Is member of Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, SEMA in the United Kingdom, Institute for Chartered Accounts of India, Institute for Cost and Works Accounts of India, Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and Laws graduate. I now welcome Sri Sathya to give the talk. Thanks. Hello.
Thanks, Sean, for introducing. It's a great pleasure to meet you all on this great occasion. And it's a great opportunity to present my views on the design thinking. And everybody will be knowing that you all underwent a formal education system. But since your childhood, nobody would have taught you how to think in the first place. But if you look at Indian education system, since the days of Chanakya until now, we have a model which can be replicated to the entire world. In fact, in the 4th century BC, Chanakya had a model for thinking for the Kshatriyas who were to the war field called Anvinshiki. When Chanakya was training the Chandragupta Maurya, he clearly brought in a thought process engineering among the leaders of the dynasty, and he made sure that the student undergo a course called Anvinshiki. Today, the same course called Anvinshiki, and with added flavors from different scriptures from India, especially from Upanishads. Now, the Western world is now using this concept called design thinking. Before even we get into knowing what is design thinking all about, Swami Vivekananda, when he came in 1893 to America, he was the first to speak about body, mind, and spirit. Or you can even call it as IBM, intellect, body, mind, or BMI, body, mind, intellect. And when he spoke about it, it was a new concept in America. Not many could appreciate it because India is a spiritual land which had a lot of offerings to Western world. And when he spoke about this concept called body, mind, and intellect, and integration of that through meditation, that is nothing but the 4 yogas. That is Raja Yoga and Karma Yoga, 3 Bhakti Yoga, and 4, you have your Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and the 4 yogas which he mentioned had a great relevance to the modern world. And design thinking is definitely the is a model for inspiring confidence and empowering change among the masses. One second, I'm just moving the slides. Yeah, in fact, why thinking is important? If you look at our education system, any education system for that matter, whether it is now present Indian education system post our colonial period or the Western education system, it is all the same now. Now, most of the students, if you look at, when we underwent a lot of courses like MBA, like chartered accountancy, we undergo medicine, we undergo many courses, but mostly the courses are focused on the amount of information that we are grasping in our mind or in our brain. So that's what Swami Vivekananda says. Education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs riot there, undigested all your life. He says we must have a life building, man making, character making, assimilation of ideas. If you assimilated 5 ideas and made them your life and character, you have more education than any man who has got by heart a whole library. It's a great thought process, because when Swamiji, when he was in India, when he was traveling around India for about 22,000 kilometers and subsequently went to Western world to talk about the ancient Indian scriptures, he clearly said, this is a message from Upanishad, which is a message of the Upanishad, where clearly said that education is not the amount of information that is put into your mind. If you're able to use that information and build your life, and man making, where when he talks about man making, it is about bringing out your taking out your unlimited potential or maximizing your potential through character, which is very, very important, because without character you cannot achieve anything. So that's what he says. We must have a life building, man making, character making, assimilation of ideas, so that all 3 should come together for assimilation of idea. When ideas come, then automatically we can use that idea for transforming the entire world. Today, whatever may be the ideas that has got fielded in the minds of the entrepreneurs, those ideas are all because somebody got that education, who started thinking on that education. It is not the amount of information he had on that had in the brain. Accordingly, Swamiji also says, we are what our thoughts have made us. So take care of what you think. Words are secondary. Thoughts live and they travel far. So if you look at any personality, he may be physically smart, or somebody is beautiful, but as long as they take care of the thoughts, they cannot impress the people. Neither they will fit into any organization. And thoughts are what we are. So over a period of time, people get attracted to what we think and what we deliver. And not only that, thoughts will make us to live. And if you have positive thoughts, the vibrations are positive. And the education, what we acquire, the information that goes into the brain, the same thing will add value to the humanity only when you have positive thought process happening in your mind. So for that only, Swamiji clearly said, words are secondary. Thoughts live and they travel far, so that we should take care of the thoughts. So to train, how do we think so that we generate good thoughts? Design thinking is the methodology. Not only that, most of the discussions today in the World Economic Forum, if you look at, they talk about the 21st century skills. When you look at the 21st century skills, there are certain skills, there is a 2 important element that is very, very important in the 21st century. One is the creativity, and second important thing is that to drive the organization, we need to have innovation. To have creativity and to bring innovation, the greatest asset that any person, any human resources who work in an organization should have is the thinking ability. Today, what's happening, especially look at IT segment, that is the information technology industry, or be it many industries, there is no thinking involved. Most of the time, it is a mundane work. They go and sit before the desktop. They keep working on the same data, and they feel that, at the end of the day, after 20 years or 30 years, they feel that they have not lived their purpose of life. Exactly, the World Economic Forum, one of the premium economic think tank in the world, also makes and informs people, brings out a paper and says, in the 21st century, the two important skills that people need to have is the creativity and creative thinking and critical thinking and innovation. So both thinking and innovation is going to be the asset that any person should have in the days to come. Now, before when we get into the design thinking, look at this. This is very interesting. I'm sure many of the people would have tasted the South Indian food. If you typically think about the South Indian food, you always think about the rice in the plate. You always know that there will be a sambar. You will always know that there is a rasam. You will also know that there will be papad. You will always know there will be curd. Now, generally, when I used to present this idea of design thinking to some of the top universities in the country and also in abroad, I used to ask them, now, is there a design thinking involved in this the South Indian food? They generally used to think and smile at me, because how can there be a thinking involved in a South Indian food, or in a food for that matter? And I used to ask them, is there an innovation involved in the South Indian food? They generally tend to smile at me. Then I used to tell them, I'm not a brand ambassador of the South Indian food here, or I'm not a brand ambassador of Saravana Bhavan or Sangeeta. But when you think about South Indian food, typically you remember what could be there in the platter. The reason is the design thinking behind South Indian food. You all must be knowing. You are all from India. India is a tropical country, especially South India is a very hot country, very hot destination. So when people used to think about having the food, I used to ask them, is there any science involved in this designing the South Indian food? They generally used to think, even the best of the scientists used to think about it, but let me give the science behind it. Somebody who designed the South Indian food before maybe 500 years or 600 years or 300 years, the reason why they add this kind of a item in the platter is because South India is generally hot, and when you cook raw vegetables, you cannot keep it for a long time. You all know India is a country where a family is one of the living institution, where you cannot keep cooking for all the 3 times in a family. And it's also a joint family system that was existing, where 33 people, 40 people used to stay together. In fact, 100 people also used to stay together as a joint family, and they all used to be united. And only the women in the home generally tend to cook, and they'll cook in the morning, and it should remain up to 8 hours. So that is the reason they innovated something called sambar. Why sambar? Because sambar comprises dal. In a tropical country, especially the hot destination, we need more protein combined with carbohydrate. The carbohydrate is nothing but the rice, and sambar is a protein. And in the sambar, you need to have nutrition values. So instead of keeping the vegetables on the plate, and if more than 2 hours the vegetable cannot stay, because the condition of the climatic condition makes sure that it gets rotten. So the people thought, why can't we put the vegetables into the sambar? So the nutritional value, that is with the protein value, with the carbohydrates, give a great combination. And people who innovated this would have kept this idea, like the Western world, without giving to others, or they would have also patented it. If they patented it and then provided to others, they would have got the royalty. These thinking process never was part of the Indian system, because India always offered agriculture. The agriculture was never a business in India. It is always, and food and agriculture was never a business in India. It is Aditi Devo Bhava. Any guest who comes, will provide and treat him well. And that concept involved a free food, and we never thought agriculture as a business. Accordingly, the person who innovated this South Indian food with all the dishes, make sure that it became the culture of the entire region. And that is the reason you come to any part of South India, you'll find sambar, you'll find rasam, you'll find rice, you'll find papad. So it became a culture over a period of time. And there was a design thinking that was in place by the people who innovated it. It is a combined effort of a civilization. It is a combined effort of a person who had a great empathy. The foundation of design thinking is empathy. That's what I'm trying to introduce. For example, what is the empathy of a person who introduced the South Indian food had? What is the quotient that he had? I got this food. It tasted really well. Why can't I make it as a product to the entire humanity so that everybody will enjoy what I enjoy? That was the thought process behind the ancient Indian wisdom. Similarly, if you look at the Western world, look at pizza is one of the item where today you typically in Indian market, Pizza Hut, Domino's sells the product. For every pizza an Indian consumes, the royalty goes to America. If the same concept of India would have used for the literatures they provided, like Upanishads, Vedas, and a lot of literatures from India, Chanakya's Arthashastra, Tirupugal, Tirupavai, Tiruvasagam, there are Basaveswaraya's literature. So there are so much literatures from India which was offered to the entire world free of cost. Nobody ever patented it. Nobody got the royalty, but we offered food and the knowledge free of cost to the entire world. And this is one of the reason, because anybody who's born in this great nation called Bharat will have a quotient called empathy. And our Hinduism, especially our Hinduism, nurtures that among the family. Any Hindu, anybody from a Hindu religion will be more empathetical because the system and the literatures talk about the empathy. Accordingly, design of the South Indian food is also driven by empathy. Now move on to please look at this. This is typically a Sikh community. The founders of the Sikh community, and then later the leaders of the Sikh community, Guru Gobind Singh and our Guru Nanak Ji. If you look at when they brought the Sikh community, they had a single thing in mind. When the Mughals came to India, they attacked the Indian citizens or the people in the land of Bharat, not because the people here are lacked the Kshatriya skills. We had the best warfares in India, but the Mughals came here and ensured that they dominated us because we were following our dharma. We had our own rules and regulations which we followed in spirit. But the Mughals came here and they tried to do maximum damage. Looking at this, Guru Gobind Singh and people who followed him like Guru Nanak Ji and everyone had a great empathy that they have to do something. So what they said in a Hindu community, from each family, give us the eldest son of your family into the Sikhism. We will nurture him as a Kshatriya, irrespective of whether he is going to be a king or not. We will nurture him over a period of time. Let him become the protectors of the dharma of this nation. That is how the Sikhism came. And the beauty of the religion, beauty of the community is that you look at any person, he'll be with a turban. When they put the turban on his head, the respective individual feels he's like a king. Not only that, they name him also like a king. For example, if somebody is taken into the Sikh community, they'll name him as, for example, my name is Sathya Kumar. They name him as Satyajit Singh. Sathya could be his name. Jeet is nothing but that the victory, and Singh means the lion. So anybody who hears the name itself will get that inspiration. So this inspiration model was a Sikh community model. And the founders of the Sikh community also had a great empathy in creating this. And when they created this, because they had empathy. Why? That is, the Mughals are coming here, they're damaging our civilization. We need a model to protect our dharma. That is how the Sikh community came into picture. Not only that, we also designed a model where a warrior should also go and serve the people. And that is how a concept called Karseva emerged. And if you go to the Amritsar temple, you'll see people of every stature coming and sitting on the floor, that they also project the concept called equality. My dear friends, why am I mentioning about the Sikh community? The Sikh community founders, if you go and look at their mind and see what was the thought process they had, it was the quotient of empathy. Now, let me come to the Western world now. For example, look at Disney World. Whenever you go to the Disney World, you feel amused. And first time when you go, especially when you go first time, you feel really joyful because you know very well when you enter Disneyland or Disney World, you will definitely enjoy that place because there is a movie, there is a motion, there is a lot of happening there. My dear friends, my only one question: when Walt Disney brought this concept of Disneyland and Disney World. What was his thought process? His thought process was the experience that he wanted to provide to the humanity. The experience what he perceived in the mind, the experience which was invisible on his mind, which was perceiving it through his own way of meditation. He wanted to spread it to the entire world. And accordingly, the concept of the Disney World came in, and what he was able to visualize internally, he brought it as a concept called Disney World and Disneyland, and that is how the design of the Disneyland came. If you go and look at the mind again of the founder or the person who had a first thought process about the Walt Disney, definitely it is a quotient of empathy. The empathy of what? Empathy to provide experience what he had, which is invisible in his mind, which can be provided as a visibility to others, so that in this process the entire people can experience. Disney World is all about experience. My dear friends, one message that we need to know from all these three examples: any innovation that you bring in today, any management concept you will try to drive out, any social business you can try to do, or any business is purely driven, and it came into a reality purely because of empathy. The word empathy in the Western world may not make that clear impact until we understand the ancient Indian wisdom. Ancient Indian wisdom had all the evidences to show every act of us was backed by empathy. Every act of us was backed by empathy. Now, what is this design thinking all about? Design thinking is a human-centered. It is human-centered, collaborative approach to problem solving, using a design mindset to solve complex problems. So basically, it's a human-centered approach where you collaborate for the purpose of problem solving, using design mindset and to solve complex problems. Now, this is the definition. We'll break and see what is it. Before even we get into know what is design thinking, my dear friends, I told about empathy. How do you create that empathy? If you look at the courses provided by Harvard, Stanford University, and even MIT, many universities provide this design thinking course, which is one of the premium course. They charge a lot, but they will never tell you how to develop an empathy, because the concept how to develop an empathy was not finding its place. Does not have any. The Western world does not have any literature. Only they can refer to the Indian literature. My dear friends, in our system, we have a clear methodology to integrate our body, mind, and intellect. Only when we integrate the body, mind, and intellect, only then we will be able to develop the empathy. My dear friends, for that there are two important things which you should understand. Unconditional experience. The entire humanity and the entire being in this world, one experience is assured. That is the supreme consciousness. That is home. You may actually question, how is that home is an unconditional experience? My dear friends, you go and refer the Big Bang theory of Stephen Hawking, and you go and I went and compared with the Rig-Veda also. My dear friends, whatever Stephen Hawking talks about it today, the same concept was spoken in the Rig-Veda, where they clearly say the world was, there was it's all one universe where there was no a movement, or there is no matter at that point of time. Suddenly vibration happened, and the entire universe started going into pieces here and there, and that's how the earth came into picture. Earth was also, it was a fireball. Then the fire started cooling down. Then the vibration continued. All the Panjabhutas came into picture. The water came. All the Panjabhutas started happening, and that is how the matter came. And that's how the matter came into every atom. And suddenly, because of the, I would say, luck, or many people say it's a godly intervention, or it is a happening where the matter got manifested as a human being. Today, I can map the Stephen Hawking teaching with the Rig Veda, my dear friends. That is how the concept of Atma and Paramatma came. The same Rig Veda says the unconditional experience of any human being will have is one sound. You close the sound, you close your eyes, and you start meditating that one sound that will go into your ears is the Om sound. That shows scientifically there is a supreme consciousness, my dear friends, which is unconditional experience. Whether you want or you don't want, still you'll experience that Om, the Om, that is supreme consciousness. But there are some conditional experiences. What is a conditional experience? It comes through vasanas. It's the qualities that you imbibe. How does the quality is determined in a humanity, in a human being? Generally, it is because of the body, mind, and intellect. For example, what you perceive through body, what you perceive from the objects, the body can take it. The emotions, the feelers, the mind can perceive. The thoughts and the thinking, the intellect can perceive. My dear friends, to bring an empathy, you need to integrate body, mind, and intellect. And that process is called yoga. Today, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi actually took the yoga made it yoga an international concept, and we celebrate June 21st as a yoga day. But we forgot it is not just a physical yoga, it is all the 4 yogas, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga is nothing but meditation. Bhakti Yoga is nothing but devotion towards your work. And Jnana Yoga is nothing but the knowledge what you acquire. And Karma Yoga is about service you do, transcending yourself in any process. And that is how you develop the empathy. And that's what I told my dear friends, that India is the only country which has a tool to integrate body, mind, and intellect. Only when you integrate all 3 with 4 yogas, that is Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Raja Yoga. Under Raja Yoga, under Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there are 8 different models of yogas. So, my dear friends, what I'm trying to give as a message, this yoga is a model to develop empathy. Once you develop an empathy, and your life is filled with empathy, you would have served the humanity. My dear friends, this is the model that is available today for all the management professionals, all the social business owners, even the entrepreneurs have great empathy. My dear friends, even the Bill Gates today would have earned billions and billions and billions. He would have become a billionaire in America by providing computers to the entire, providing MS Word and Windows, and he revolutionized the entire information technology era. But he had an empathy. When he worked hard, he had an empathy. What empathy he had? He decided and said, I will ensure that every home should have a computer. And his vision to ensure that the information reaches and everybody should experience what he could experience. So can you understand? Every management concept, every entrepreneur is a personality with a great empathy. My dear friends, that's what I told. When I talk about yoga, it immediately becomes an Indian concept. To put it in a very simple way, exercise body, empower intellect, engage mind, enjoy work, enable life. The 4 important thing, the 4 yoga is simple. Jnana Yoga, where you empower the intellect, and Bhakti Yoga, you engage the mind, and Karma Yoga, in the Karma Yoga, you enjoy the work, and in the Raja Yoga, you actually go through the process of the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, and accordingly you exercise the body. So to enable life, to enable your life and make your life, and you becoming a contributor, the model and the tool and the technology is available in India, and that's what I tried to summarize in this slide. And my dear friends, Swami Vivekananda said, in a conflict between the heart and the brain, follow your heart. And from my younger days, when I used to read the scriptures and when I used to read the ancient Indian thought process, I used to always question, what is this heart? Heart is not a physical heart we are talking about. We are talking about the emotional heart here. My dear friends, when you read this quotation, you will immediately think about the physical heart. No, it is not the physical heart we are talking about. When there's a conflict between the heart, that is the feeling, and the brain, follow your heart. That is follow your feeling. So the heart definition, if you want to know what is heart, you have to refer to the self-realization book of our Ramana Maharishi. He clearly talks about what is heart, how the feeling comes, and feeling drives the humanity. My dear friends, that heart is nothing but the God, because most of them the feeling comes from the consciousness, the supreme consciousness. And everybody is a dual personality. What they think and what they act is not the same. It is not what they think generally, it is what they feel, and what they act is not the same. Sometimes you don't want to scold another person, but still you scold, you go against the consciousness. So that's where Swami Vivekananda says, in the meditative position, in a conflict between the heart and the brain, follow your heart. So if you make your life, if you ensure that in your life you follow your heart, automatically that means you have aligned the body, mind, and intellect through the process of yoga. And yoga can happen consciously and unconsciously. I'm not talking about the physical yoga. For example, you like sport, you like to play a particular sport, you can play it very well without even, and you forget yourself. So that means you are transcending yourself and you are playing that, where your art, your feeling is towards that. So any great achievement, whether it is Sachin Tendulkar or Mark Zuckerberg who brought this Facebook, or Alibaba, everybody transcended themselves on a task and they followed the 4 yogas, and I can prove that in any given circumstances. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. My dear friends, Indian wisdom today is spoken at Harvard University and Stanford University. Our own Indians go there, get educated by paying huge money for learning design thinking. So that's when I attended these programs and I wanted to bring it to the masses. I thought we can bring the Eastern philosophy with the Western branding. That's how the design thinking concept emerged. And very important, what is that design thinking should do to your life? It should give you an idea. My dear friends, in the 21st century, the 21st century currency is not how much of money you hold. The 21st century currency is the idea. Idea is the 21st century currency. So Swami Vivekananda in 1897 itself told, and the education should provide an idea, and you should take up 5 ideas throughout your life. And he says, in that 5 ideas also, you take up one idea, make that one idea your life, think of it, dream of it, live on that idea, let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. And look at this, my dear friends. Today, most of the innovation done by one of the best entrepreneurs in the world is because they followed this concept of taking up one idea. Whether it is Bill Gates, or whether it is the founder of the LinkedIn, or whether it is the founder of the Facebook, or it's the founder of the Instagram or Twitter, or anybody who has brought in the Uber idea, or Ola in India, all these businesses started blossoming because that entrepreneur took up that one idea. And they made that one idea their life. They thought about it, they dreamt about it, they live on that idea. They made their brain, muscles, nerves, and every part of their body be full of that idea. And they also left every other idea alone, and this is the way to success. My dear friends, this has an answer. When an entrepreneur integrates the body, mind, and intellect on one idea, and he works on it, and he becomes successful. That's what Swami Vivekananda said in 1897. My dear friends, today the United Nations is also talking about 17 goals to transform our world. Look at these 17 goals. One, the action point 1 is no poverty. Action point 2 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal is zero hunger. Action point 3, good health and well-being. Action point 4 is quality education. Action point 5 is gender equality. So every goal here, if you look at these goals, are the world's problem. And every entrepreneur is working in this world is looking at transforming something. For example, somebody who is a social entrepreneur who is trying to ensure that poverty goes away is actually working on action point 2. A teacher who is teaching in a school is actually working on action point 4 because he improves his knowledge, he teaches, that is quality education. A doctor is contributing to action point 3. That means every profession in this world, every business in the world is only happening because of the quotient of empathy to solve some problem. Now let me define what is empathy and what is sympathy. My dear friends, when you fail in life, many of your friends will call you. I'm not talking about the Facebook friends. I'm talking about the real friends. Yes, of course, today in today's 21st century, we have 5,000 friends, 10,000 friends, but we have contact with them, but we don't have connect with them. Now, so for example, one of your so-called friend calls you and you have failed in certain exam. For example, he calls and says, what you are saying him, I failed in the exam, and he says, Achacho, what are you going to do in your life? It is sympathy. But there's another friend who calls you, a real friend calls you and asks you what happened to your result. And you say that in this particular exam you failed, or you lost this much money and this, things like that. He says, no problem, that person has won like this person has lost the money like this, that person has lost the money like this, but still they came up. And that's the way they inspire. I'm talking about empathy by comparing with the sympathy to tell you how a person with empathetically who has the quality will act. Do not or never misunderstand sympathy and empathy. It's always, empathy is all about you act on the sympathy. You really work on the problem. Sympathy is about you just talk about the problem and you feel that it is not your problem. So the entire humanity gets transformed only because of the people who are empathetical. Because they think they are the change makers. They think they are the change agents of the world. And that is the reason, I'm showing the 17 goals of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to tell you that every professional, every teacher who has a quotient of empathy is working on these 17 goals to transform the world. And today, some of the governments has taken these 17 goals as their guiding factor to transform the world, including Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi is running his government by taking the 17 goals. For example, I have a great opportunity to advise his government on various matters, and we also map our ideas to all the 17 goals which we have mentioned in this slide. Now, we spoke about in detail in empathy, all these things. My dear friend, you go and ask any successful person, take your own life, in your own life. You all would have gone from, you would have come from a humble background, would have become more successful in your education. Whenever you took up a new assignment, it always started with mystery. Whenever you started doing something new, it has always started with mystery. Whether you're learning cycle or learning swimming or driving of a car, it's all the mystery. Later, what happens in the brain? There's a heuristic patterns which gets formed, and then finally the algorithm is formed. For example, when you first went to US and when you were driving your vehicle, you did not know which place to go, how to go. Today, I'm sure, even after the late night work, without even looking at the Google map, you are thinking, or through the subconscious mind is a great Google map, because you are already off asleep, still you reach the destination. It's because the subconscious mind is so engineered through algorithmic process. On a even in an half asleep, you reach the destination. My dear friends, what I'm trying to drive here is, it was not happening for the first time. It was not happening for the second time. It did not happen for the third time, but it happened over a period of time. So the design thinker, when he develops empathy as a quality, as an attribute in any problem, in the place of mystery also, he can form the heuristic patterns and then make it as an algorithmic process. My dear friends, I was speaking about empathy. Design thinking itself is a process. Thinking itself is a process. So, for example, I am empathetical. Now, how do I make sure that I think in a proper direction? There is a system in place in design thinking where any design thinker who is empathetical will always define the problem first. He will go into the roots of the problem. Look at the entrepreneurs who became successful. They were not just speaking about providing solution. They were looking at what kind of a problem that he is addressing. He went deep into the problem, whether it is Edison or whether it is the Chanakya who went on to create one of the greatest empire of the world, and or whether it is Swami Vivekananda. Everybody went into by defining the problem. So typically a person who is a design thinker who has developed empathy will go deep into the problem. And when they go deep into the problem, they will not remain quiet. They'll go to the identical groups who are facing the same problem and they will start ideating. When they ideate, they'll be bold, they'll be fearless to ideate, to express opinions. And later, after they ideate, they will not keep quiet. The fourth process is prototyping. They'll test it. They'll test and see whether it works. They'll test and see whether it's going to be helpful. And after they test, after developing the prototype and they test it, they come to a conclusion if the product could work or the process could work, whether the concept could work. That's how all people who have achieved would have gone through this 5 process consciously or unconsciously. You can see this, my dear friends. It is empathy. 2, definition of the problem, going deep into the problem, and ideating the problem with the identical groups, the team building. And team building is all about you identify a team where you can ideate. In fact, Swami Vivekananda said in 1897, give me 100 men, I will change the entire India. And a phenomenon like Swami Vivekananda itself could not find 100 people in his lifetime. My dear friends, for ideating, you should have an identical, spirited individuals who can think and give ideas to you. Even when you build an organization as a management concept, you should have an identical, spirited visionaries who should be trained to have the ideation to happen, who should provide the ideas to you on the desk. My dear friends, this is the design thinking process which I mentioned. Now, and it has a lot of process. I don't want to take it at this juncture. It is a 8-hour program which I do for various universities in a detailed manner. I can do even 45 minutes. I can even do for 1.5 hours, 2 hours. It depends upon the module. I'm trying to skip this modules because there's so much time involved today. But I will go through the next process. So if you're a design thinker, you move from the mystery to then heuristic to algorithmic mind, and then you make it as a process. My dear friends, look at this slide. This is a very, very important slide. Any business, any management ideas should revolve around 3 important things. You are a best design thinker. You have empathy. You go to the definition of the problem. Then you ideate. Then you develop prototype. You test the idea. But all this will work only when you integrate 3 important things. My dear friends, you have great business desirability. You have great desire. Desire alone cannot scale up your project. Desire alone cannot make your project a great thing. There should be a technological feasibility. There should be a business viability. My dear friends, there should be people desirable. Do people want it? Anything and everything. You have a great empathy. When you're doing a business, don't try to sell the product what you want. Try to sell the product what the people want, or make the product a want of the people. To make sure that this becomes a want of the people, then business desirability, technological feasibility should match human desirability or people desirability with the technological feasibility should map to the business viability. Only when the 3 things come together, innovation happens, my dear friends. So if you're a design thinker, your design thinking towards business or towards a change can only happen only when you're able to bring in all the 3 aspects together. Business, human desirability. There should be a desire for the human being for a product. And when will the desire be? When you solve their problem. To solve their problem only, you should develop empathy. When you develop empathy, then you define the problem. After defining the problem, you go to the ideation stage. After you ideate, then you go and prototype, and then you test it. So all 3 components, when they join together, we call it as innovation, my dear friends. And every successful person would have done this innovation. In fact, some people innovate every day. Some people in the organization will always think differently, and they feel new ideas, and they all have these 3 pillars in their mind, consciously or unconsciously, my dear friends. My dear friends, the optimism is very important, and making ideas tangible. People, that is business desirability and business viability, making ideas tangible. And then when technological feasibility is all about building to think, how to use the latest technology. My dear friends, when some of the companies in India came in before 100 years, in India nobody was wearing slippers or footwears. So they came to India, they saw a typical example is Bata. When they came to India, they saw, and they were all looking at here and there and seeing that people were not wearing the footwear. They said, okay, people are not wearing footwear. They would have gone back, they would have gone out of India. But what they said, they will make wearing footwear a culture. So they started distributing footwear, and they started explaining about the footwear, and people started using footwear, and that became a culture, my dear friends. My dear friends, the same company, by looking at the people, would have ran away from India, saying that nobody is using the footwear, but they came to India, made footwear culture. Today, the entire footwear industry is surviving because that became a culture. So, how do you think on given situation with a great empathy determines your success in your life, my dear friends? This is one of the examples. My dear friends, one more example I'll give you. You are all technology professionals. You all must be knowing about the MP3 format. Now, In an MP3 format is not a new. This was not a format that is available after Steve Jobs got the iPod. MP3 format was available from 1989 onwards itself, because the technology was there. Sorry, the technology was there, but it was not feasible. People also had a desirability. Remember those days when you were a student or when you were using the Walkman? There should be only one cassette. That cassette you will play again and again. After a while, that cassette also goes away. Again, you will purchase another cassette. And Walkman requires battery. You used to carry battery. Only 5 songs used to be there. You used to play that again, and you have to reverse the tape and then play it from the beginning. And this was the process that was involved in the music industry. But the MP3 format was available, my dear friends. But Steve Jobs made a big business out of it because he understood there is something called MP3. He wants to innovate that device. So human desirability was also there. Everybody was willing to have 100 songs and 50 songs in the iPod. So he brought the concept called iPod, where the human desirability was mapped with technological feasibility, and it became a business viability. And today, entire mobile revolution started only because iPod, my dear friends, don't forget that. And because of MP3. So MP3 format was always there, but there was no technological feasibility and business viability. But human desirability was always there. What was human desirability in the music industry? 100 songs, 50 songs, 500 songs. Today, 500 songs, 1000 songs, n number of songs can be copied in the device. My dear friends, this is the transformation of technology, my dear friends. This is the transformation of whatever is Indian literature, in the ancient Indian wisdom says, whatever is invisible becomes visible. Wright brothers, when they got the aircraft done, it was all invisible in the mind, my dear friends. They were all thinking and visualizing how a flight can fly. Then came technology. Then came business viability. To have that visualization, to understand that, to bring that visualization into a reality, first quality that you need to have, develop the attitude of empathy. The moment you develop the attitude of empathy, understand the human desirability. And that desire is to solve a larger problem, my dear friends. And that's how you bring the new ideas on the table, my dear friends. Now, you should understand, and I'm going to, I'll also take up the questions at the end. You should understand there's a difference between analytical thinking and intuitive thinking. Not everybody gets the intuitive thinking. And intuitive thinking happens sometimes because of the nature of a person. And most of the time, the intuitive thinking may not be, maybe realistic. Similarly, sometimes we analyze a problem so much. We analyze, we are trying for reliability. But in intuitive thinking, we are looking at validity. Now, 50-50, the mix of 50-50, that is analytical thinking 50% and intuitive thinking 50% is design thinking. My dear friends, if you're more empathetical, your intuitions will start blossoming, and that is the reason it becomes a reality. And you don't analyze too much. Why are you analyzing? To analyze the human desirability. And the moment you analyze, you come to a design thinking, you set the process and you test the thing and you make the product successful. My dear friends, the idea of design thinking is to, when you have an idea, apply design thinking on it. What is that? You develop the knowledge, define the challenge you face, develop the empathy and awareness on how to improve the status quo, think about it, create creativity, foster new ideas, and adapt finally, and implement. You can implement that using project management methodology, knowledge prototype the design thinking, monitor data for new ideas, and start the process again. So design thinking, it's all about the empathy. My dear friends, there is a difference between the traditional thinking and design thinking. You look at traditional thinkers. Most of the organization fail because there are traditional thinking model. In a traditional thinking organizations, they'll keep on be planning, and they'll try to avoid the failure. They'll do rigorous analysis. Each and every time they'll be in the meeting in some of the organizations. They'll keep on preparing PPTs. They'll always think about their profit, but not the customer's problem. Periodically, they'll have a mindset of periodic, that is every quarter reporting, procedures, process, and they'll keep thinking. But whereas in a design thinking environment, look at this. A traditional thinker does a flawless planning, but a design thinker enlightened trial and error method. A traditional thinker will avoid the failure, but design thinker will fail fast and bounce back. A traditional thinker will keep doing rigorous analysis, but a design thinker will start doing testing. And traditional thinkers will always keep doing presentations, preparing presentation, but design thinkers will start doing lightweight experiments. Traditional thinker will always put his desire before the customer's desire because he lacks empathy. And here, if you look at in design thinking, you think about others in your business, the external stakeholders are your customers. When you think about the problem, you have great empathy on their problem. You go and define their problem, then you ideate their problem, then you develop a prototype and then test that prototype and you develop a product and solution around them. So deep customer immersion happens. Periodic, in design thinker will always say it is periodic, quarterly, 15 days once, 30 days once. Your design thinker will always be conveyed. For example, take Narendra Modi. When any problem comes, you take a decision. And then today, policy making in India, because I consult on a lot of government projects and I interact with this team, and I understand that he is not a periodic thinker. He is not a periodic, he doesn't work on a periodic basis. He works on a continuous basis. He tries to fill new ideas. He brings policies as and when required, or not just in the union budget or the union budget document. Similarly, a traditional thinker will keep on be thinking. A design thinker will start doing, my dear friends. So action-oriented people or design thinkers. Now, empathy and definition of the problem, it's all about realizing the opportunity, and then ideation angle is materializing the solution, and prototyping and testing will also involve materializing the product. Beyond all these things, that one thing that is very important for a great design thinker, the attitude of learnability, the insatiable curiosity. My dear friends, when a child is born, it was more curious than you today. When a child is born, when you were born, you were more curious and you learned everything systematically. You enjoyed the process. Today, what happened to that curiosity? Because our education killed it. My dear friends, actually, the education should have given you more curiosity to learn, more curiosity to innovate. But unfortunately, education only became an amount of information that we are gathering. My dear friends, start thinking. Start thinking. In fact, Carl Roger says, I want to talk about learning, but not the lifeless, sterile, futile, quickly forgotten stuff that is crammed into the mind of the poor, helpless individual, tied into his seat by iron-clad bonds of conformity. That is not the learnability. The learnability is something new, where you explore yourself, you start finding the bliss out of the information what you gather. Through that, you start learning. Through that, you start thinking, you start implementing. That is exactly the essence of the education, and that's exactly the vision of character building, man making education of Swami Vivekananda, and that's the essence of the Upanishads also. My dear friends, Upanishads are great literatures, or even your own Tamil Nadu's literatures like Tirupavai, Tiruvasagam, Purananuru, Tirukural, all these Kanda Puranam. You look at everything; it is all driving the value system of an individual. When the value system is there, if the empathy is developed, all these literatures develop empathy. And if you hear Upanishads, at the end of the Upanishads, what you get? You get a feeling in the heart. And that feeling is, if you check what is that, it is empathy. The entire essence of the ancient Indian wisdom is to develop empathy through learnability, my dear friends. The insatiable curiosity will come. Isavasyam idam sarvam is one of the statement which says in every atom there is a manifestation of divinity. My dear friends, when you know that in every atom there is a manifestation of divinity, that means you develop empathy. That is a kind of, in Isavasya Upanishads also it is told. And in fact, Swami Vivekananda also quoted when he came to America, arise awake, stop not till the goal is reached. Many people were thinking, where did he get this idea of arise awake, stop not till the goal is reached? It is from Katho Upanishad, my dear friends. Uttishta Jagrati is the quotation which he gave in America, which became the clarion call to the entire humanity. Today, Anthony Robinson in America talks about awake the giant within. And even Stephen Covey spoke in many of his sessions about integration of body, mind, and spirit. And these are all the ideas which were first fielded by the Swami Vivekananda from India in the Western world, and which became the inspiration for most of the trainers in America, my dear friends, including Dale Carnegie, where they have tried to take the ideas of Swami Vivekananda. Of course, They would have credited and they would not have credited. But nobody can deny the idea of the 4 yogas was given by Swami Vivekananda in the Western world, my dear friends, in a simplified format. 5 forces that drive the design thinking. Thinking is important, but you should also develop the driving force behind it. What is the driving force behind a design thinker? Skill, the skill that you need to possess, the expertise that you need to have, the perspective that you might have to bring in on the ideas, and development of the idea itself should be the process of the design thinking, and alignment of the design thinking towards the requirement of the humanity is very, very important. Of course, while you are being a great design thinker, 5 important frictional forces that will always come in your mind is a doubt. My dear friends, whenever you think about a larger vision in your life, your right brain thinks about the larger vision, but your left brain says it is not possible. It is not possible by you. My dear friends, the great disaster of any new idea is a self-doubt, my dear friends. So accordingly, when you are a design thinker, you should meditate to ensure that the doubt goes away. And conflict. I told you, there will always be a conflict between the mind and the heart. So take up the heart, because that is a feeling that comes out of supreme consciousness. And accordingly, there's a call given by the, it comes out of the godliness qualities, my dear friends. And temperament is a very important frictional force, and the fear and the ego. So we have to avoid the frictional forces. And accordingly, the design thinking becomes an iterative process. Embed this design thinking process as part of your organization, as part of your family, as part of your kids, as part of yourself, so that it becomes a culture wherever you are. And today, most of these innovations, you look at blockchain also, it's an Eastern philosophy called trust. So that is how the blockchain is now emerging. My dear friends, Swami Vivekananda said, the humanity can be transformed with harmony. That is the first message he gave. Harmony of the religions. And second important message he gave was, many people did not understand his message properly. He said, Western science and Eastern philosophy should come together. When that comes together, the entire humanity gets uplifted. My dear friends, look at blockchain. The concept of blockchain today that is emerging around the world is the idea of trust. And this idea of trust comes with Western science called information technology. When both put together, they transform the humanity to the greater place to live. And today, blockchains are used by the government, by the technology experts, by the payment banks, by the bankers, by the fintech experts. And this is an idea. I also suggest certain books here. Harvard University has come out with Roger Martin's book of Design of Business. There's a Design Thinking and Technology book. There's a Design and Strategic Innovation. There is a Design Thinking by Jeff. There are 101 methods of design methods. These are all for the professional excellence. My dear friends, I am showing a practical model how I am advising the government and I am implementing design thinking for New India. My dear friends, when I was actually, when I'm a chartered accountant, cost and company secretary, I was working in KPMG. I always felt in India, we're all paying taxes, we're all working very hard, but India is not developing because educated is not reaching to uneducated. I had a great empathy. I said, let me quit my job and start empowering the citizen of my nation. And on a sudden, one day, I decided in the morning, without even informing my parents, I went and dropped my paper and I started reaching out to the people. My dear friends, today, in entire Tamil Nadu, I have been fielded with nearly 30,000 volunteers where we are now working towards creating New India. And what is this New India? I had a great empathy that the government policies are not reaching the common man. I always question the regulators. Why is a common man not able to understand the policies you bring? Because the policies what you bring is the policy for a common man. But unfortunately, the budget document or any scheme what you bring, the common man cannot understand. So I thought, let me reach out to the public, started empowering them. And that is how, and the New India concept is also an inspiration from Swami Vivekananda only. Swami Vivekananda said, when somebody asked what, he went on to say to the entire world that let New India arise. Let her arise out of the peasant's cottage, grasping the plough, out of the huts of the fishermen, the cobbler, the sweeper. Let her emanate from the factory, the marts, from the markets, from groves, forests and hills and mountains. My dear friends, think in 1897, today Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi is talking about New India. Swami Vivekananda spoke about New India in 1897. Where did he speak about New India from? Because he understood Upanishads, Vedas and Bhagavad Gita and ancient Indian wisdoms from Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and that is how the empathy got developed in Swami Vivekananda. We became a universal hero because he had a great heart full of empathy. And that is how he gave solution to the India also. Today, the government of India is also bringing a lot of transformation for New India, because they also are empathetic about developing the people. And only when these people, the fisherman, the cobbler, the sweeper, the farmers, the laborers in the factory, all these people develop, automatically New India emerges. For that, what we have done is we have floated Vivekananda Institute of Leadership and Governance, where we have fielded the design thinking idea. Today, we have the top-notch officers in the country who are part of our advisory team, including the Prime Minister's office, the Niti Aayog officials, and some of the retired bureaucrats, IAS officers, some of the Indic thought leaders from different parts, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, America, UK, Africa, Singapore, Malaysia. So Asian countries across the world, we are spread. Australia, across the world, we are spread today. And I'm the founder of this organization. They're all helping us to reach this this idea to the common people. And we are running this with a complete mission as provided by Swami Vivekananda. That is the organization. And Village Talk. We wanted to have a Village Talk, so we organized Village Talks so that the thought leadership goes to the people. The way we think should become the culture of our people in India. So we are now organizing Village Talks across the nation. And in colleges, we also have fielded Vivekananda Leadership Talk, where we bring the youth to actually talk about certain problems of the society. If he is an engineer, how he can solve. If he is a chartered accountant, how he can solve the society's problem. So we make them to develop the quotient of empathy in the college level through organizing talks by giving the communities issues and countries issues. And we have also formed, when the student comes into the Vivekananda Leadership Talk program, after the program, whether they won the whether they won the prize in the program or lost the program, doesn't matter. They come into Vivekananda Leadership Circle. Why Vivekananda, my dear friends? Vivekananda is not about a personality. Vivek Ananda is all about, Viveka means higher thought. And the joy comes from higher thought. That is Vivekananda. And Vivekananda itself is a culmination of Upanishads and Vedas and Indian literatures and ancient culture. He has traveled 22,000 kilometers. And my dear friends, that is the reason we named it as Vivekananda. And Vivekananda is an idea, and that becomes our ideal. And from idea to idealism, and make the people to grasp this idea. And he is a universal hero who is now inspiring the millions of people here. So the pillars of the Vivekananda Institute of Leadership and Governance is the culture, the Indian culture we promote through quotient of empathy. We talk about empathy in the education to the people.
Papa is making biryani, baby.
Is there anything else besides biryani?
Hello? Yeah, hello. Yeah, economics. So even economy should have empathy, because only when he has empathy can develop solution for the people. What's the role of the economist? The role of the economist is not just bringing out documents. It's about bringing policies to the people. Social worker will definitely have empathy. Governance leader should have empathy. Management profession should have empathy. Rural development should have an empathy. Youth development should have an empathy. Nation development should have an empathy. Linguistic, because the language is a great tool for bringing empathy. Literatures. So in all the 12 missions what we have fielded the concept called empathy, and design thinking was put into the organization. My dear friends, that's all about it. I think I took exactly 1 hour to complete it. And this is my contact details. You can definitely touch base with me. And I'm in Facebook. I'm in the YouTube. I also speak in television. So you can definitely touch base with me. And you can raise your questions on this platform. Please be connected to LinkedIn. There are a lot of followers. And YouTube has a lot of my videos. 500 videos are there which you can watch. And thanks, Shan. And it's a great time interacting with you. Only thing, I'm not able to see the audience, but if I had seen the audience, it would have been much better. But I'm sure in the days to come, we'll organize a program with the audience.
Well, thank you. You could actually see the audience if you can put on a gallery view. If you see the gallery view, and if you can actually see the audience. There's a gallery view button that you can click, and then that's fine. But anyways, thank you.
Any questions?
I think, we'll open for 1 or 2 questions real quick. Let me allow participant to unmute. Yeah, if you want any questions, you can unmute and just ask any questions if you like. Would you please stop sharing so that stop sharing you.
Stop sharing, is it?
Yes.
How do we stop?
The same button,
Yeah.
where you did share.
Yeah.
So that we are in full.
Done?
Not yet, I think. In the meantime, any questions, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now, if you can go to a gallery view, you can view the people. So, any questions?
No questions?
Surprised? Yes, there's a question, probably. Let's check.
Yeah.
Can't
unmute.
Let me mute person. No, I've unmuted mute person on tray. I took it out. Yeah, I mean, you could go and unmute everyone, and then it's going to be a problem. But, okay, so whoever wants to ask a question, just others can mute. Others could mute. Yes.
Okay. Huh?
Questions? Any questions? Questions, please. Okay. So, 1 second.
Can't unmute.
Don't unmute. Unmute. I'm just unmuting everyone just in case, Okay, go ahead, please.
Sathya, this is Senthil. Thank you so much for the presentation. This is very good and very inspiring. And
Yeah, thank you,
lot of people were, could think about it, but they cannot implement it because they don't have the courage and the inspiration, right?
Yeah.
But you did a very great job. When you take this to the public or to the government official, this type of design thinking and everything, what is the response you get from the people? Because many of them are from the old school, or how do they respond to your, new thought process?
Yeah. So the main thing when I speak about it, I speak with a lot of conviction because this has worked miracles for the people who have adopted this model. And not only that, design thinking in the ancient Indian wisdom we have implemented in the organization. And so when the people are attending in thousands and 500 and 300 people attend, so the entire energy they carry when they listen, they get convinced with the conviction what we present. So accordingly, they can never deny. And when they ask questions also, we have a justification from the ancient Indian wisdom itself. So accordingly, they accept it, and then there is no way they can deny it actually at the end of the day, because consciously or unconsciously they have been thinking in this model. Some people come back and say, in the past 2 hours, whatever I thought, it was a presentation. So they get reflected back automatically. Yeah. So they accept it, and the government also has asked me to give us a policy document to Niti Aayog to bring it as a culture for innovation. So I'm going to Delhi in another 1 month to give the presentation to the officials. So they're all interested.
Any other questions?
Can't unmute. Sandil is asking to unmute.
Okay, Sandil. Yes.
Yes, Sandil.
Muted. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for your response, Satya. I think, yeah.
Thank you, Sandil.
Yeah, this is Raj from St. Louis. Satya, it was awesome. Actually, I was really able to kind of feel the empathy from you. Thank you very much for that. And the basic question was like, I always interested in social justice.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, is your institution focusing anything on corruption or anything that can really help the public?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is one of the problems. I'm curious, have you put any thought around that using?
Yeah. So you should watch my videos. You should watch my videos. I don't know your name. What's your name?
My name is Prithviraj.
Hi, Prithvi. So you should watch all my 500 videos in my YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
So I am anti-corruption crusader. So in India, chartered accountant always goes and helps the corporates who are corrupt.
Right.
But I have a different personality because I've been transformed by Ramakrishna Mission and Holiness. So I can't never think about the lower ideas. So what I've done is I've done investigative journalism, and I've presented my reports on black money, and which got telecasted in News 18 as a special interview.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. Okay.
And not only that, nowadays the Honorable Prime Minister leadership team in India and Narendra Modi government calls me to bring regulatory changes in the government.
That's awesome.
So one of the ideas which I have given for transforming education, which I have been 2-3 days, it is the trending thing in Tamil Nadu. My talks are trending now in Tamil Nadu. You can go and watch.
Okay.
I have told to transform government education, make ministers' sons, government officials' students' sons to study in the government school. Automatically, government school will transform.
Wonderful. That's a great idea. Okay.
So everybody is worried now. Today, Sathya has told this. I don't know when Modi will bring it. And Modi is known for his bold reforms.
Oh,
so, and today is majority government. So he does hear my words. So on certain ideas. So accordingly, this may happen soon. Also, you will not be surprised about it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sathya, and also thank Sean Master to have you here. It's a wonderful opportunity for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll close the questions. If you have any other, the last question I can take. We are already running late. Okay.
Hi, Sathya ji and
Yes,
Shanji. Thank you so much for the session. Likewise, we hear everybody in this group. I think most of them have a thought of that empathy, what Sathya sir is saying. So, but it really needs so much courage to come to that point. So I just would like to know, at what age, I mean, it's not like a personal question, but the situations, right? Family, if you want to just to put to that point, it needs so much courage to do that. So how did you get to that stage? At what point, you took that decision?
Actually, I was to put it in a very simple way. So, in life, one thing is marked. One is the birth and the death. The dates are fixed for a human being. So, the intervening period only we enjoy our life. So, many people who don't find the purpose of their life, or the people who think they'll be in this world for eternity. So, but the point is, once you think about it, the boldness and the fearlessness comes. You live for the day, you live for the second, you live for the minute. So when you think about it, definitely will not spend time wasting on certain lower ideas. So you'll definitely go for the higher ideas. Now, what is the interest to it? The so-called society puts you into a bucket and says, this is the life. But we have to show to the world that this is the life which is actually to be lived in. So this thought process came. Of course, I have to buy in my family's idea, my parents. So I'm not married. So I have to buy in my idea. So at the age of 23, 24, I got this idea. Then immediately I started doing it. Initially, there is no acceptability among the society. So started doing the sessions, 5 people, 10 people, then started conspiring a lot of people. Today, for my sessions in India, at least 3,000 to 2,000 people. Tomorrow, I'm addressing in Coimbatore. So people are waiting to hear. And this is a great transformation only because of leading our Indian literatures, which talks about be bold, be fearless. Swami Vivekananda always says, be bold, be fearless. Of what? Of leaving the attachment. When I say leaving the attachment, it's not running away from the home, but exploring the higher possibility. Many people misunderstand non-attachment to leaving the home, because you are always feeling the problem is there at home. That is not the attachment what Swami Vivekananda says. He says about the lower ideas attaching yourself in the spirit. Leaving that is renunciation. And beggar cannot renunciate. Beggar, Swami Vivekananda says, beggar cannot renunciate. King only can renunciate. So achieve and renunciate. So I got the education. I was working, the top-notch consulting company called KPMG. You must be knowing it. So, and when I was doing that work, I thought it's a lower thing. It is not maximizing my potential. Then to maximize my potential, I left it and I started doing it. I myself explored the ideas, and today the world is conspiring to my ideas. That's the reason. So sometimes you have to be, you have to be with a full of conviction and aggressively good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. I think definitely.
So somebody is asking, how can we bring to design thinking to kids? Do you have any program on it?
Oh yeah, I was about to ask. Okay, good.
So what we have done for the kids is that, see, kids are not going to be attracted to the spirituality. You should talk about spirituality, they're going to see gray hairs in the head. So I think, so what we do is, they are all career focused nowadays. So spiritual materialism is the idea. So many people, when they say spirituality, they say abundance in materialism is not, minus abundance in materialism. That's a wrong idea. If you're spiritual, you're bound to attract the abundance. This is the concept I have fielded on the place. So what we do is that we go to the kids, we talk about career, design. So they're all career focused. Now, how do you design a career? Through design thinking. We talk about, you want to become a professional medicine, you want to enter medicine, you want to become a accountant, you want to become a professor, you want to become a scientist. Why do you become? To solve the world's problem. So we feel the ideas of United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. We have developed videos. So we bring them on camp. We give them textbooks. They reflect their ideas. And the 3 days camp gives them entire solutions. And we have done that in schools. That video of feedback is also available in my YouTube. I'll also anyway share it to Sean. He will share it to you people.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful, I think.
Thank you, Prithvi. Spiritual materialism, yeah, it's a good idea. It's spiritual materialism is nothing but unconditional atheism. Many people are unconditional theism. Today, the problem of Hinduism is, actually the Hinduism is unconditional theism, but many of them make the religion as ritual, and ritual as a condition, and they are not giving the meaning of the ritual. So our Hindu philosophy, our Hindu religion, our ancient Indian wisdom is all about unconditional theism, which will lead to spiritual materialism. Abundance is your birthright, and faith works on that angle. So this is the thing that has to come. This is a new Hindu renaissance that we need to bring in. Hindus should become more, Hindus and Indian people should become more rich than anybody in the world, so that they can contribute to the entire humanity. And the trusteeship is the idea of Hindu religion, and not the ownership.
So why do you think that, after having so much of wisdom, why do we not think that humanity is, we are talking about Sanatana Dharma, we're talking about Vasudeva Kudumbam.
Yeah.
And why we are not thinking globally that everybody, because human boundaries are created by human beings.
Yeah.
Right? So why don't we think globally that everybody should, why do we have to take the ideology from the West? Competitive mode instead that everybody, become brothers and sisters, right? So, I think, we should, the ideology of this competition should not be there in any system. Now, maybe there's a requirement from a government perspective, but from a human perspective, they should vanish. We should think brotherhood from different nations, different countries, and today in a global level, this wisdom is there. Many of the people have come out of this competitive mode. Many professors. So thank you for this wonderful talk. And I just wanted to share a couple of we are doing a huge retreat, 5 day. It's a 4 day, 3 night retreat in Mount Soma. if you're interested, you can come, and it's all silence retreat. So in-depth silence for some time, no talking and less eating and things like that. You're welcome to the silence retreat in August 15th to 18th. We have in North Carolina. Then we have our event where there is a deep down course. If somebody is interested in a very deep course on, let me pull out, let me share. There's a course called Siddha Esoteric Awareness. If you want a deep down course to shift consciousness, this is a course. This is given by people who have very advanced knowledge. Mr. Anbu Ganapati, Dr. Anbu Ganapati, who can directly connect with sources. He gets tunes from consciousness. Tirukupusami has in-depth knowledge in the Valala transformations, and myself. We three are conducting this course. So our courses are usually as you know, we are co-realizers. We are not you know, like regular universities. We co-realize. We bring all people together to give courses. There is no head or anybody here in this institute. So we wanted to present this is not a one person's idea or one guru's ideas. So we always give these courses, you know, from different perspective, different views. All are accepted. We accept everything that is conscious. So it goes between religion, in between religion, but we wanted to look unity overall, and co-realization of the world and world peace is our goal. So thank you all. So if you wanted to attend, you know, continuously these webinars. So next week we'll have a speaker on ancient dentistry, because that's not there. So we're bringing ancient dentistry speaker, and from India. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Shyam.
Good. Okay.